hold on tight. 'Cause you know tomorrow may not bring that same thing that you said last night. Woo! Every time I find a little peace of mind, I hold on tight. 'Cause tomorrow may not bring the very same thing. No, no, no. Said none of the right there. You that care all. Just for me, I'm so glad that you that care all. Just for me, I'm so glad that you that care all. For a sinner like me.
Well, hello, Carol. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Simply fantastic, and thank you for asking. Okay, today we were having a discussion. You want to tell this story, and I do have some questions of my own, being that I know what you're going to talk about. But before we really get started about a white couple adopting a biracial child, can you give us just a little touch of your background, where you come from, things of that nature, please?
Why, certainly I can do that. I come from, I lived in Addison when I was young, moved to Elgin when I got married, and I've lived in Elgin for like 35 years maybe now. I lived in Elgin, that's why I moved to Elgin.
Where are you living at now?
I
And
currently live in Elgin. Yeah, I live about a mile away from where I lived with my ex-husband when I was married.
okay, well, you're right. This isn't the story about the ex-husband and all that. So we'll skip on over that. We'll get into the stories. What I understand is you were married at that time, and maybe bring
Mhm.
us up to speed on what made you feel like you wanted to adopt a biracial child.
Okay, well, actually, I wasn't able to get pregnant, um, and we considered adoption. My ex-husband was a little bit older than me. He's like 7 years older than I am. So our options weren't that great, as far as, they want the young couples, that kind of thing. So um, we went to the adoption agency and they spoke with us about, what our other options were. A special needs child, which would be like a handicapped child, which would, I would have done that, but I had to work full time, so there was no way I could care for a child, 24/7 that way. And then they brought up the option of adopting a biracial child.
Biracial child isn't considered a risk child. What did you call it?
They are considered a special needs child for some reason.
Special needs. Now,
Yes.
I just have to ask you that. What what were the outlines of making a biracial baby special needs?
They didn't get adopted as readily as a white child would. That's just the way it was.
Well,
Yeah.
when you were talking about special needs and having to work 24 hours, my mind went to like someone that might have a handicap or an affliction or something.
You're absolutely right. And
So,
I don't know. I think that I don't. It's unthinkable that they would consider that a special needs child, but that's what they called it at the adoption agency. So adopt a special needs child. They waive your age restrictions. Um, you know, if you have to go to, if you have to work. I mean, I had to work, so it was like A lot of people that adopt children have a lot of money, and I didn't have a lot of money. So anyway, my ex-husband and I just were like, okay, it doesn't, I'd be fine doing this. We would both be fine doing this. Adopting a biracial child, absolutely. I mean, I have no problem with that at all. So we decided we put ourselves on a list for that.
So is it because the list was harder to get a white child?
Yes,
Okay, I just
yes,
want to
yeah,
clarify that because a lot of people that are probably be hearing this might not really understand what you as a white couple go through to even adopt a white baby, let alone a special
yeah.
needs baby
Def-
and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just slowing it down just a little so we can get clear understanding about the
hmm
special needs biracial baby.
right.
Okay.
Us on the list for that, and along with it, which was really good of them, that they had classes that we went to for it to make us aware of issues that might come up. We went to a meeting with a teenage boy who was a black boy that was adopted by white parents, and he lived in a town in Minnesota where there were no black people at all. Speaking with us, he would come home with issues that happened at school, um, and his parents kind of just blew it off, which kind of made me angry. And it makes you understand that you need to live in a racially diverse area in order to so that your child doesn't feel like they're the only one. And Elgin, where I live is very diverse. We have Hispanic and Black. We have a lot of Indian. I mean, so we're very, very diverse.
When you were talking to this young man or this child up in Minnesota, was that a requirement or was there some kind of way?
No,
Okay.
no. It was to make you aware of, it was important to live in an area that's diverse for a child. If I mean, even my daughter now, I mean, we go to family functions, and she's the only black person. So I can imagine she feels, even going to family functions. But when she went to school, I mean, it was diverse. When we adopted her, she was a baby. Our neighbors were walking a baby down that lived in the court near us, and they also adopted a biracial baby, and they were both white. So it was very fortunate. My daughter, Kendall, and Nathan became best friends, and their situations were similar. So it was something normal that they could see. Actually, there was another lady that went to school with them that also adopted a little black boy, and so it was kind of funny. We would go to the school, and all the parents would go to teachers meetings, and none of the teachers knew who the parents were. Really, you know what I mean? That kind of
Like
thing.
looking
So that
around, like who do you belong to?
that's your mom?
Yeah, yeah, that's wow. And did they? So when they went to school, they kind of fitted in, and having the other couples and Nathan and all that, that really had to
That
be a
helped.
big help.
Oh yeah, very, very much.
Did you still have to deal like in schools, cultural things like you were saying? You go to the meetings and trying to identify who the child is. Could you ever pick up that anything with having this biracial child tied to your hip like that?
Highly recommended that you have a black mentor for the child so that the culture would be shown a little bit because, of course, I know nothing. I mean, I have straight hair, and I had with my little girl with her hair was very thick as well, not even just curlier than what I was used to. It was extremely thick as well, and so
What
I
you trying to say?
I had a hard time
Was it
trying
nappy?
to
Is that what
fix
you're
her
trying to say?
hair.
Did you ever hear the word nappy?
Nappy. Yes, it was nappy.
Okay, yeah, see, we understand now. Thick, that could be like thick hair. See, like mine's thin. That
But
means,
nappy is different than thick,
oh, that's true.
right?
You're right. Well, so what is it? Thick, nappy.
I think nappy is very curly, and you could have thin nappy, couldn't you?
Well, so you're saying her hair was very thick and dense.
Thick. So it was even harder for me to, because you look at this, I have very thin hair.
Well, how did you learn how to deal with this
Well, I
thick hair?
actually, I bought a lot of products. A lot of products. I tried a lot of things. I remember going to a baby shower for a lady in my department, and there were a lot of Black women there, and I was telling them that I was having a hard time. You know what they told me? They said, use some olive oil. And I got to tell you, that was the best thing ever. The best thing ever. As long as I didn't put too much in, it really, really moisturized her hair, and I spent a lot of money on a lot of products. So,
And
yeah.
all you had to use is a little olive oil. Talk,
Olive oil.
talk to a couple of sisters to kind of
Yes.
help you out a little bit. And you figured out that all that money on them products you could make it with this olive oil,
Olive oil.
which is some good stuff too.
Yeah,
It really is.
it moisturized. It made her hair real shiny, and yeah.
Well, in
Hmm.
this area where your daughter Kendall,
Hmm.
okay, she's growing up. How was it when she transitioned like into junior high, high school?
Again, it was very diverse. I mean, we never really had any issues with dating. She dated both races. Um, so it wasn't, there was no issues with dating. Which I thought sometimes, there's some white people that are very, you know what I'm saying. There was no, I was always concerned about that when she was younger, but that never was really an issue. And I think, you have that abandonment feeling. I think most adopted children feel abandoned by their parents, but she has met her birth mom as well.
Birth mom.
Yeah,
Before we go like too further into that, how old was Kendall when you got her?
she was 3 days old.
So that's about as close to your baby as you can get, Carol.
Yes, exactly.
I mean,
Yep.
really. 3 days
Yep.
old. And without getting into the mother's story too deep, was there a reason why the mother that she's meeting down the road put her up for adoption?
Yeah, she was 16 and they didn't have a lot of money. Um, yeah, that was basically she was 16 years old and still in high school.
Okay. So when was it? What time was it when she met her mother? And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so in one of the adoption papers, they weren't supposed to give us her name, but someone made a mistake. And I found her name. And so I kind of was looking for her on Facebook. At a certain point, she wrote us letters and that, and it was great. It was an open adoption. So if she wanted to see Kendall, we would have been fine with it. You know what I mean? The whole time. I was appreciative that, you know, she gave me something I couldn't have. And I gave her a lot of credit for giving up a child because that has to be very difficult. So Facebook, and then Kendall did look her up, went out to visit her, and she had about three other children at this point. I know Kendall went out there and helped her daughter get ready for prom. No, it was like homecoming or something. So it was almost like her sister, half sister, I
Her
guess,
sister.
half sister. So
Okay.
not the same father. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I know. And a lot of times in our culture, we have that situation come up a little bit, like that. Um, and I'm not trying to boast, brag, or take light of the fact, but myself, I have children with different women,
mhm.
and I raise my children. We understand that they have different mothers, but that's your sister.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think she's, I don't think she's kept in contact with her recently, but I think she's visited a few times. Her birth father, we really don't know. He moved to Colorado,
Wow.
maybe back, I think before Kendall was born.
Growing up, um, I believe there was something about she played volleyball or
Oh, okay. The
something.
volleyball
This
thing.
this is like
Yes.
reverse racism or something
Yeah. Well,
or
she
Karen.
yeah.
What happened? Go and tell me what happened.
She's always very athletic, and she played on a lot of travel teams. And we had a small motorhome, and my ex-husband was taking her on one of the trips. And I don't know where they were. I can't remember what city they were in. I really don't know. I wasn't along with on this trip, but I think they went into a McDonald's and ordered food. And I guess when they went back out to went back out to the motorhome, they were eating in there, and a police officer knocked on the window and asked my ex-husband to please come out of the vehicle. I called the police from the McDonald's, con- concerned that he had either kidnapped her or something like that. Yeah.
Folks, that just go to show you that we're not the only ones that get treated like that. So your husband gets out, he explains himself,
Yeah.
and what did the officer do from there?
Then he was okay. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
It was
So,
pretty
but
funny.
someone was concerned in the McDonald's.
A Karen,
A
thinking of
Karen,
yeah,
yeah,
a Karen
probably.
worrying about nothing, you know.
And I was just talking to her about this, and I said, I asked her for some more details on it, and she said that she might have been upset about something anyway. So she may have been like, looked like she was crying or something. So that could have also,
Oh,
he
Kendall
got
was
mad at her about
crying.
how she played her game or something like that. She might have been upset. So who knows?
Oh, so
But
Kendall was
still, yeah.
crying, and someone observed this and thought it was a kidnap.
Right.
Okay, well, now that kind of makes a little sense. While we're going through this raising a biracial child, you already said that you didn't have too many incidents. I mean,
Yeah.
looks or stares or mistreatments or.
If I was with her by myself, or if my ex-husband was with her by herself, I think people just would insinuate that the other parent was Black. But when we were together, all of us, then I think people were a little confused.
You have to tell the story a lot that it was an adoption.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I would say, like, I know she's really cute, but she doesn't look like me.
She don't
My
look
daughter's
like.
beautiful. She's very pretty. She's a very pretty girl, very beautiful girl. She always was very pretty when she was little too. I think I told you that she got a new job and she was in training, and they had, after training, they all met at a bar or something like that, and there was no Black people at all. And I guess she said at the bar there was a Black couple, and she went up to him and said, "Thank God, finally." It was out in Kansas or something like that for her training.
It would be nice one day to talk with your daughter to see, how she kind of looked at that. But from what you're telling me, it sounds like you all raised her. She came out okay. She dates, she doesn't have that I'm Black, I'm white. She's pretty open. I guess my question is, do she know she's Black?
Oh yeah, she knows she's Black. Well, I think she has had problems trying to fit in both sides. Um, you know, not feeling like she fits in with the whites, not feeling like she fits in with the Blacks, kind of thing. That was difficult for her, I think, growing up. Um, Being biracial. I think it's becoming more common now to be biracial. I mean,
Well,
Gosh, on phones, when you used to have to check the box what you were, you had like three choices and that was it. Now there's a lot more choices, so that's good. She's actually like Puerto Rican and black.
okay. I was just I was just really wondering about that because when you tell me about your child going through that, what is it as a mother? You're not black, you're
I
not
know, I don't understand.
biracial. Yeah, well,
I
that's
know.
what I'm trying to get to. What are the things that you did to comfort your child?
There was a neighbor down the street too that she was a junior high teacher that my ex-husband played volleyball with. So, and she lived down the street from us,
Mhm.
and so we kind of befriended her, and we went over to their house for dinner a few times. We went to church with them, which was an awesome experience because I can remember Kendall said she looked around and she said, "You guys are the only white people here," which is like total opposite for her.
What do you know what type of church you went to?
It was a Baptist church.
Oh, did they have music?
Yes, they did. It was awesome.
Oh, had you ever been to a Black Baptist church before?
No. And growing up for me going to church, everybody was, talk, you don't say anything. But this was like an experience, man. It was fun.
They wa- they was
It was fun. I
playing
mean,
music and
it
everything.
made it so much fun.
She had a good time.
She did. She did.
Okay, well, how is it that your daughter grown up? How old is your daughter about now?
She just turned 30.
Is she still with you? She's on her own. She's out.
She has an apartment in Chicago.
No, she's in Shaw. She's
Yep,
in the
she's yep,
city.
yep, in the city.
Oh, you should really be worried now.
I know with all the crime, I know. The carjackings. She has an old car, so nobody's going to want her car.
Does she like it in Chicago?
She loves it there.
Do you go down there often to visit her?
Yeah, no, I don't like to drive down there because not so much the driving there as the parking. I can't parallel park very well.
Oh,
So I'll have her come down, and when I get close, I'll call her and say, "Can you come down?" And she'll park the car for me.
well, let me ask you this then, on a serious note. Do it again. Would you do it?
Oh, definitely, for sure.
And the other thing that I wanted to ask you, if there was a couple in your situation and they wanted to adopt and they chose to adopt a biracial child, can you say some of the things that they might should look for, look out for, be prepared for? Do you have any advice for someone that might be in that situation?
My thought would be make sure you live in a racially diverse area. You can't just move to like, Kansas or some small town in Minnesota like that other young teenage boy did, and I think, the way he made it sound as if his parents weren't really validating his feelings, and I felt bad about that. It's like they were just trying to blow it off, and you just try to remedy it. I don't know. There's nothing really I could do to make things better for her. But I think if I were to recommend to someone else, I would just make sure that you got to be in a diverse area. I don't understand the culture, and I'm not good at teaching culture, so that's why maybe having a mentor as well is probably a good thing. I remember one year, this was pretty funny. I remember during St. Patrick's Day, we were watching some leprechaun movie or whatever, and Kendall came home from school and she said some boy came up to her and was making fun of her nationality. And I said, I thought to myself, oh no. She goes, he told me I had pointy ears because I'm Irish, because she had a little bit of Irish in her that she mentioned to people. She was like Irish and Puerto Rican. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, the pointy ears for being Irish. Okay.
Carol, I really thank you for answering my call. And I thank you
Well, thank
for
you.
sharing that story about a white couple adopting a biracial child. believe that there was a special covering over you and your family just for going out and taking some things that in one situation looked pretty bad, but because you were there and because you had the kind of heart that you have, your husband had the heart, I just want to say I thank you for taking care of that baby. It could have went to someone else, to someone like Minnesota, some of the things that you're talking about, or even worse. But knowing you and knowing that you're willing to talk about your baby that you took from the third day she was on this earth, she's still with you, and allowing her to see her real mother and not keeping her back and not keeping her away from Black people. And when they come to visit your home, let the boyfriend in, no matter what his color is and things. So I really want to thank you, and I'm sure that we learned a lot, because I never heard of special needs.
Special needs, yes, that's horrible, isn't it? That's horrible.
I still can't wrap my mind around that.
I can't either.
Tell Kendall I wouldn't mind hearing her side of the story.
I will. And if we can catch her when she's not working too much, I'm sure she'd be happy to speak with you.
We just need a little time. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Carol, for answering my call.
Sure. Thank you. Have a good day.
Well, another episode of Where Were You? And we would like to thank our guests for this evening. Also want to thank New Me. New Me helps sponsor Where Were You? So go on and check it out. New Me /Arkway. Also, go on and hit that like. Go on and hit subscribe. Go on and hit that share. Go on and leave a comment. And if you find anyone that has a story, let me know. And hey, you bless someone today.